Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really plunging headfirst into the fascinating world of persuasion, specifically in communication, sales, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a huge topic. So much nuance.
Exactly. And we're drawing insights from a YouTube video by Boris Teodosievich. He talks about his 7 magical words of persuasion. Sounds intriguing, right?
Very. Magical words definitely grabs your attention.
Our mission, then, is to unpack these words. We want to understand the psychology, what's going on underneath, and how you can maybe use them to communicate more effectively.
Sort of a practical guide, then. A shortcut to getting the gist of this area.
Precisely. A shortcut to being well-informed. So let's get straight into it.
Okay.
Boris kicks off with a word we all use constantly. Because. Seems simple enough.
Ubiquitous.
But he argues it has this incredible power. When people hear because, apparently their minds just accept that. Like, here's the reason. Okay, moving on. Almost no questions asked.
It acts like a trigger for acceptance.
Yeah. He uses that classic childhood example. Parent tells kid, clean your room. Kid asks, why?
And the answer is?
Because. End of discussion.
Yeah.
And he suggests we're conditioned from way back then to just accept because as a valid command.
Well, what's truly fascinating there is the cognitive science. It tacks into something called the automaticity principle. We have these mental shortcuts. Yeah, like that famous study, with the copy machine, Ellen Langer's work. It showed just giving a reason, any reason, even a flimsy one, like because I need to make copies, dramatically increase compliance compared to no reason at all. Our brains, well, they like the path of least resistance. A reason is provided. Okay, checks the box. Seems logical enough.
So it fulfilled that subconscious need for justification. Makes sense.
Exactly. It makes the request seem less arbitrary, more, grounded.
Okay, so practically speaking, in sales pitch or just talking to someone, you use because proactively. You link the action you want to a benefit.
Right. Connect the dots for them.
You'll achieve X because it lets you do Y. It just smooths the way. Give the brain that easy yes.
It leverages that pre-existing mental pathway.
Okay, building on that subconscious influence idea, the second word is now, or, immediately.
Urgency.
Yes, similar kind of instant impact, Boris says. He used another childhood memory. Parent says, go to bed. Now.
And that's that. Debate over.
Pretty much. He really emphasizes how we're trained, like deep down, to obey that command from a young age. It's ingrained.
It does raise a big question, doesn't it? How much are we guided by these little words without even realizing it?
Right.
Now seems to tap into what psychologists might call a reactivity heuristic or maybe an action bias. There's this built-in sense of urgency, maybe even a hint of fear of missing out if you don't act right away.
So it's not like a direct order necessarily.
Less coercion, more like nudging an internal impulse we already have, that desire for promptness, for getting things done.
Okay. And in sales context or even just professionally, you can soften it. It's not about barking orders.
Definitely not.
More like, please take a look at this now, or you can try this feature immediately. It's a gentle push.
A subtle nudge towards action. Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Now, for the one Boris Teodosievich suggests might be the most powerful of the 7, the word imagine.
Ooh, okay. This one feels different, more evocative.
Totally. And that's the key, right? He says it's so powerful because it's an instant catalyst for emotional engagement.
Getting past the logical brain.
Yes. It doesn't just tell you something. It makes you mentally and crucially, emotionally experience the scenario you're painting.
You're inviting them into a feeling.
Exactly. He gives great examples.
Yep.
Selling a car. Don't just list horsepower. Say, imagine driving down the busiest street, roof down, cool air.
People watching you. Yeah, I get it. You feel it.
I'm selling a vacation. Imagine how wonderful it is. On the beach, lounge chairs, drinks arriving, the waves, the smell of the sea. You're practically there.
Yeah, and connecting that to the bigger picture, what's happening psychologically is the creation of a powerful mental simulation, sometimes called future pacing.
Future pacing. I like that.
When you vividly imagine something positive, your brain actually fires up similar neural pathways as if it were real. It's called the vividness effect.
Wow.
It kind of blurs the line between thought and reality. And once you've felt that good feeling, even just in your mind.
You want for real?
Precisely. You're deeply motivated to make that mental picture your actual reality. You want to hold on to that positive emotion.
Okay, so we've had subconscious triggers like because and now and the emotional powerhouse imagine. The next 2 are more about foundational politeness, I guess. Please and thank you.
back to basics, but crucial basics.
Yeah, Boris kind of laments that they're often underused, even though they're so simple and have such a big impact.
It's easy to forget them in the heat of the moment, maybe.
Maybe. So please, he says it fundamentally changes the interaction. It shows respect, right? It turns a potential command into a cooperative request.
Yeah, softens the edges.
Instead of just sit down, it's please sit down or please look at this catalog. Just feels better. Collaborative.
It signals consideration for the other person's autonomy.
No. And then thank you. Simple gratitude. Boris actually uses it himself at the end of his video, thanking viewers for their time.
Yeah.
And it feels genuine.
It does. And it matters.
Builds that little bit of goodwill instantly.
Absolutely. And these aren't just, empty formalities. They tie into things like social exchange theory, the reciprocity principle.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, please acknowledges the other person's choice to cooperate. You're asking, not telling. That often gets a more positive response. And thank you, that completes the loop.
Completes the loop.
Yeah, it acknowledges their effort or their time, whatever it is. It reinforces that positive interaction, making them feel appreciated and more likely to engage positively again. It builds trust. But sincerity is key, of course.
Sincerity, right. Can't fake politeness effectively.
Doesn't usually work long term, no.
Okay, moving to number 6. This one is, well, literally personal. The client's name.
Ah, the classic Dale Carnegie stuff, right? Sweetest sound.
Exactly. It's seen as the most important word to anyone because it's their word. It signifies direct respect, recognition. Now, Boris acknowledges forgetting names is common.
Happens to the best of us.
And he mentions there are techniques, but that's kind of outside our scope today. What he really focuses on is how often to use it.
Okay, frequency matter.
Critically, he says, do not overuse it, like 3 to 8 times in a quick chat. That sounds fake, weird, it backfires.
Yeah, you can feel when it's unnatural, like they're following a script.
Totally. His rule of thumb, short conversation, say 10, 15 minutes, use their name twice, max.
Twice, okay.
Longer conversation, over 15, maybe 30 minutes, an hour, up to 3 times.
Yeah.
But he warns that even 3 is pushing it sometimes. More is risky.
So less is more, but when? Where do those 2 or 3 times go?
Great question. He's specific. First time, right at the beginning. The introduction. Nice to meet you, Jelena. I'm Boris.
Sets a personal tone immediately, gets that positive neural thing going.
Exactly. Second time, right at the very end. Parting ways. It was great talking, Jelena. We'll definitely be in touch, Jelena. Yeah, again, got to sound natural.
Okay, beginning and end, bookends. What about the third time, if needed?
For longer chats, that third time comes somewhere naturally in the middle. Around the 15-minute mark, maybe? Just woven into a sentence.
Casually dropped in.
Yeah, like I completely agree, Jelena, with what you just said. Not forced, not awkward, just part of the flow.
It's interesting, isn't it? Why does something so simple have such a powerful yet delicate effect?
Right. It's just a name.
But it's our name. It's tied so deeply to our identity, our sense of self. Hearing it genuinely used, it activates reward centers in the brain, makes us feel seen, valued, respected.
And the overuse backfires because
it flips from feeling like genuine recognition to feeling like a tactic, like manipulation. It breaks that authenticity, and we might even get defensive, like, why are they saying my name so much?
Fascinating. Okay, last one, number 7. This is a category Boris calls words of control.
Ooh. Sounds potentially manipulative again.
Well, it's about giving the impression of control. These are phrases strategically used to make the client feel like they are completely in charge of the decision.
Ah, perceived autonomy.
Exactly. He gives examples like, you are in complete control of how, or it's entirely in your hands how you will, or maybe you decide completely whether you'll buy this in installments or pay it once.
Okay, I see. Focusing on the how, not the if.
Precisely. That's the crucial nuance he highlights. You never use these phrases to give them the choice of not buying. That defeats the purpose.
Right. You're not saying, it's up to you if you want this or not.
No. You're offering choices within the purchase process. Payment options, delivery schedules, color choices, things like that.
So what's the psychology there? Why does giving that specific kind of limited control work?
Good question.
Well, it taps right into that fundamental human need for autonomy. We don't like feeling pushed or controlled, so by framing choices this way, you create a perception of control.
Even if it's within boundaries you've set.
Exactly. And this perceived control can reduce what we call cognitive dissonance, that uncomfortable feeling when making a big decision or feeling pressured. If I feel like I'm in the driver's seat, making the call on the details.
The decision feels easier, more comfortable. My own.
Precisely. It's
Yep.
clever psychological engineering, really. You empower them by managing their perception of control, which, paradoxically, often makes them more likely to move forward in the direction you intended.
So pulling it all together, these 7 words or concepts, because now imagine, please, thank you, the person's name, and these words of control.
A varied toolkit.
Yeah, and Boris emphasizes they aren't really ranked. You don't have to use them in order. They're flexible tools for the conversation.
And I think the key takeaway here is that you don't need to master all 7 overnight. Even just consciously trying to weave in 1 or 2 of these ideas.
You make a difference.
Absolutely. It can significantly shift the dynamic, maybe the outcome of a conversation. It's about being more deliberate, more mindful of the language you use and its potential impact.
It really is surprising, isn't it, how these small words, these subtle shifts, can have such a big effect on persuasion, on connection, on just communicating better.
Language is powerful, often more than we realize.
Well, hopefully, this deep dive has given you a practical shortcut, like we aimed for, to understanding some of that subtle power.
And maybe something to think about going forward. Considering the subconscious pull of these words, how might recognizing them change things for you?
How so?
Well, not just how you choose your own words, but how you interpret the communication coming at you, how you respond when you notice these techniques being used.
Oh, interesting. Being a more critical listener, perhaps.
Potentially. Just being more aware of the undercurrents in conversations.
That's a brilliant thought to leave everyone with. So we definitely encourage you to maybe try integrating some of these insights. See what happens, not just in sales, but in everyday chats. Observe the differences.
Yeah, experiment a little. See what feels authentic for you.